is going to be equal to 3x squared. And then when we take 24 minus 24x is going to be positive 24, positive 24x, and then plus, it's going to be plus 80. Then we can divide by negative 16. So when we divide by negative 16, we're going to left with, is going to be negative 3 over 16. Just going to write it as negative 3 over 16. And 3 over 16x squared. We divide plus, let's say it's going to be negative. It's going to be negative divided by 16, 24 divided by 16. It's going to be negative, negative what? Negative 24. Negative 24 over 60 x. Then plus minus 80 over 16. So you can use your calculator for this. If you use your calculator, if we use the calculator, we can check 3 over 16, I think is going to remain as 3 over 16 because we cannot, if you are in class, please don't just send messages on group because I don't have to be focusing on the group there. You can just leave it. There is no need for you to be sending messages. We have to be focusing inside in the class. So 3 divided by 16, you can see that even if we can divide 16 divided by, it won't work. We can just leave it as that. But 24, if we divide 24 by, we can say 24 divided by 4, it's going to be 6, and then it's going to be 6, and then 16 divided by 4 is going to be 4. So which means we can say 24. Let's see, 24 divided by 8. We're going to get 3. And then which means 16 divided by 8 is going to be 2. So which means instead of writing 24, we can write it as 3 over 2. We can write this one as 3 so that we can have a better number. 3 over 2. Okay, just give me a moment because there are many people who are. Oh, okay. Like you can, guys, here you have a mic. If you have a question, please talk to me here in the group, in the class, not in the group, because I'm putting my phone away and I won't be checking the WhatsApp. So please let's communicate here in the class, not in the group. I'm not teaching inside that group for WhatsApp. So please, because of now, I have to be focused. Okay, I'm gonna log that group, because people will have to talk here in the group. As now I have to be teaching. You see, now I have to focus on that group, and let me just log it. Okay, so if we check, we're gonna check 80 over 16. So for 80 over 16, I think it can be 5. Can you guys see my screen, right? Hello?
Yes.
All right. Hey, but you sound so libulele, ne? Because if you are not talking, it's like you understand, and when you fail here, you won't say like I won't be there in the exam on the 30s. So please make sure you participate. 1680 over 16 is 5. We're gonna write it as 5. So this question is in that group there. So this is our parabola equation that we just transformed. So now when we have transformed it, we can now do what? We can check, we can start answering those questions. The first question says, determine the value of E, F, G, and H. Choose the correct statement. So the question there for G, to find the value for what? For G and H. The value for G and H, they are our what? G and H, they are our turning point. They are our TP. So we are going to calculate the TP. To get the TP, to get the turning point, we know yesterday we discussed about it. Use X equal to negative B over 2A. Then negative B in this point here is going to be positive 3 over 16, which is gonna negative 3 over 16, which when we multiply with the negative is gonna be positive. We're just gonna write 3 over 16. You divide by, sorry, not 3 over 16, it's going to be negative 3 over 2. So which means it's gonna be positive 3 over 2. Then divide by 2 in brackets. Our A is negative, but 3 over 16, negative 3 over 16. Negative 3 over 16. Then this is going to be equal to, you can multiply 2 times negative 3 is going to be negative 6 over 16. So when you write it, if you don't want to make mistakes, you can just say 3 over 2. You divide by negative 6 over 16. Then if we want to change it, normally the way I do it, I just say 3 over 2. I multiply by, it's going to be negative 16 over 6. So over 6. Then the final answer, if you are using Casio, you can still use Casio. It will give you the nice answer. But here now you will see that if we divide here, it's going to say 16 divided by 2 is going to give us what? It's going to give us 16 divided by 2 is going to give us 8. And then 3 over 2 is going to be 1 over, this is going to be 2 there, 1 over 2. So the answer, probably like 8 over 2, because this one here divide is going to say 6 divided by 3 is going to give us what? It's going to give us 2. So a 16 divided by 2 is 8. So it's going to say equals 8 over 4 over 2, which is going to give us what? 4. It's going to be negative. Remember, the answer is going to be negative 4. So when you get your negative 4, then to find then to find the value, we found the value of x. To find the value of y, you are going to do what, not for, yeah, it's for y, but here we call it h. This is the value of what, g. Yeah? So to find the value of h, we are going to substitute in this equation there. We're going to substitute -4. Then you're just going to say y equal to -3 over 16 of -4 squared. Then I think it's minus, let me check. Yeah, -3, -3 over 2 of -4. And then, was it minus or plus? -5, -5. Then you can use your calculator. If you use your calculator here, I'm not sure which final answer you get. You're gonna get that answer there. You can use your calculator for that. So you will get the value of what? This is the value of g. And then the answer you got there is going to be the value of h. So you have g and h there. Then to find the value of E and F, for E and F, you can see that the value of E and F, they are it's kind of like the turning point where you have to first find the value of what the y-intercept. Your y-intercept, your x is going to be 0. So your y-intercept in this equation, if we substitute 0 there, you're going to see that your y-intercept is going to be what? Y. Your y-intercept is going to be -5. Going to be -5. So when your y-intercept comes to -5, the value of y between E and F, the value of y is going to take that value of -5. So F is going to be equal to what? -5. When F equals to -5, remember E and F, they are in the same what? E and F, they are in the same line. Like this is just for x and this is the value of what? Of y. So the value of y if is equals to -5, you are going to do what? You are going to substitute the value of y in this equation there. In this equation, you are going to substitute the value of y. So in other words, you are going to say -5 equal to -3 over 16 x squared minus 3 over 2 x minus 5. So this value, when it goes the other side, is going to be positive. Then you're going to have, it's going to say -5 plus 5 is going to give us 0 equal to what? -3 over 16 x squared minus 3 over 2 x. Then we can now factorize this. For example, if you take x like this out, you're going to be left with -3 over 16 x minus what? Minus 3 over 2 equal to 0. This 0 is this one there. Then you can say this is the same. If we divide by x, you're going to be left with -3 over 16 x minus 3 over 2 equal to what? Equal to 0. So after this one here, you can just take this, the number the other side there. You will be left with -3 over 16 x equal to 3 over 2. You take it the other side, it's going to change the sign. So when it changes the sign, you can just multiply both equation here by -16 over 3. Both sides you multiply by -16 over 3. The reason is just that I want this one to cancel with this and this to cancel with this, and also the negative sign to cancel so that we can left with x. Then our x here, if we work it out, this is 6. This 3 is going to cancel with this one. Then you are going to be left with a negative, but this is 2 here. You are going to left with -16 over 2, which is equal to -8. So if you check your multiple choice question, you got those values. You will see that there is a one that, like, if E, For E, I think we got what? E, we got -8, ne? And then F, it was -5. You can see even the first A option there, which is A. I only see the option A. It's even wrong because F is the one with what? With -5 and E is -5. F is -5 and E is what? E is -8, yeah. So that's how it works. So we're gonna proceed. So that's how you answer that question. So we're going to proceed with our lesson. So today's lesson is we're supposed to do financial maths. As I've indicated that when we do questions, I won't be teaching like this. I will just be responding to questions, showing you how you work them out. So with financial mathematics, we already discussed a lot about it. I'm just going to give you some few to remind you based on things that you must remember. So the first thing that we talked about in financial maths, we talk about the SI, which is simple interest. So in simple interest, I show you the formula that if you have I, you can have I equals to PI, PRT, PRT. So PRT means this I is for simple interest you earned. Remember that it's not interest rate, it's the interest you earn, and P is the principal amount, R is the interest rate, and T is the term number, or it can be number of years. So you can be asked to calculate the interest you earn if you invested, let's say, for example, 200. So after that, maybe you invested 200, then you'll find that you got 350. So this is very simple. So it means that my interest that I earn when I invested 200, it was what? Is going to be 350 minus 200, which is going to give us 150. That's the interest that we earned in this investment, 150. So now when you understand that part, you will be given in terms for interest. Sometimes you might be given the principal amount and interest rate and the a number of years that you invested. Then you have to calculate that. That will be very much simple. And then the other formula that you must remember, if you are asked to calculate the accumulative amount, which I'm going to use as A, or you can use S, is going to be P in brackets 1 plus I plus RT plus RT. So in this is still the same, you know what is the. So if you are asked to calculate the accumulative amount, remember to use this formula. If you're asked to calculate the interest you earn, remember to use this formula. So in this formula, don't expect that they will only ask you to calculate the accumulative amount. A question, it can say to you, you have accumulated maybe 5,000, just an example. When you accumulated 5,000, then the bank decided that they will give you an simple interest rate of maybe is 12% for 3 years. You are the question after that, how much did you save? How much did you invest it? If like after that they say for maybe for 4 years, let's assume it's 4 years, how much did you invest it? You see, so this question, you are given an accumulative amount, the money that you got after 4 years. It will be specific that in 4 years you got 5,000, and then the bank decided to give you an interest rate of a simple interest rate of 12%. How much did you invest it? So when they say how much did you invest it, you are asked to calculate what? The principal amount. So when you're asked to calculate the principal amount, the only thing that you're going to do, you are going to insert, you are just like substituting those values in your equation. you're going to say P in brackets 1 plus R, which is 12. You must convert it to decimals, or to, you must convert it to decimal, or to not degree, to decimal. So when you convert it by 12%, you divide by 100, you're gonna get 0.12, you multiply by 4. So you can see that now you can just get your P. Your P is going to be equals what? 5,000 divide by, in brackets 1 plus 0.12 multiply by 4. So this is how it works. So sometimes you might be asked to calculate T in this equation. You might be asked to calculate R. It depends on the question. So when you're answering this question, first check what are you given and what is missing. You just check. If it's they talk about simple interest, you must remember, okay, in simple interest, I have two formulas so far that I know. What am I? You write down what are you given in that question, and then what are you supposed to calculate. So that one you can finish. You can use your calculator. So I hope you understand with this simple interest. So we're going to move to compound interest. So when it comes to compound interest, so when it comes to compound interest, the only thing that you need to remember, first of all, is one formula. Is A equal to what? Equal to A equal to P in brackets 1 plus R to the power N. When you have understood this, that when you have understood, like when you remember this formula, it's still not the power N to the, let me use T as I'm teaching you guys with T today as terms. So you know P is principal amount, is accumulative amount A, principal amount is P, R is the interest rate, and T is the number of years or terms. So you will be asked to calculate accumulative amount. The question will be very specific to you. They will tell you, calculate the accumulative amount if you invested this amount and then the bank decided to give you maybe 14% for 4 years. How much in 4 years? How much are you going to have? The moment when a question says in 4 years, how much are you going to have? It means that you are going to calculate what? Accumulative amount. And when it comes to financial maths, you must read the English, learn, like if you are not good with English in terms of financial maths, you might even get wrong because of what they will tell you something, you think like that when they are saying go to left, you think maybe they are saying go to the right. So be very attentive when it comes to your reading skills. Read and understand, highlight. If you are reading a sentence if you are reading a sentence if you are reading a sentence and you don't really understand it, just highlight that sentence. Try by all means to understand so that you answer exactly the right thing. The problem part which I have found when I was still in high school based on financial maths, it was an English. I spent a lot of is the only chapter that took me many weeks while I was studying it because of what I was reading, but I was not really understanding that English. So I have to spend more time in order for me to understand it. So you must, when you read, understand what you are asked to do and don't do things that you are not asked to do. That's how it works. So you will see when I read the questions with you, how you must respond. If I also don't understand the word, I highlight. Sometimes like the sentence, don't worry about, okay, you might ask me a question. If you don't understand the meaning or you don't know the meaning of the word, how are you going to know the meaning of the word? Those things, the way you learn them in high school. In high school, they taught you that if you don't understand a word or you don't know the definition of a word, the more you are reading that sentence, when you complete it, you will understand this question is telling you that go from here to there. Then that word, which means you can make an assumption that this word means that. You can know a meaning of a word by reading a sentence, a complete sentence. So this is the equation. So the other thing that you must remember that we spoke about, I'm just repeating things that we have been talking about. Remember, we spoke about if it's a month, you use 12. When you say you use 12, you are going to multiply your T by 12. You are going to divide your interest rate by 12. If it's daily, it's 365. You are going to multiply your number of years by 365. You divide your interest rate by 365. If it's compounded similarly, you are going to multiply your number of years by 2, and then you're going to divide your interest rate by 2. And if it's compounded quarterly, you are going to multiply your interest rate by, you are going to divide your interest rate by 4, and then you are multiplying your number of years by 4. And then if it's compounded weekly, you are going to divide your interest by 52, and then you are going to multiply your number of years by 52. There is a video, I have sent all those video in the group. They are there. I'm 100% sure of that. So if you want to remember those, I'm not going to be writing down again, repeating the same thing. You can go and watch those videos, and then you will see what I'm talking about. So the other thing that you must remember, we spoke about the timeline. So timeline, when we talk about a timeline is whereby when you are having not really a consecutive, it won't be a good word in English if I say consecutive payments. So I'm just gonna say when you are having, if let's say this is our timeline, let me draw it properly. Let's say this is our timeline. So I'm gonna draw a line there. So in timeline, what is happening? They are just telling you that you went to a bank, for example, you deposited 1,000 rand. After that, when you deposited 1,000, this is your initial, is your first deposit. Then in 3 years, the bank decided that they will give you 3% interest rate. Then after 3 years, let's say here is 3. This is our initial, it's 0. Initial start at 0. Then in 3 years, you decided to add 10, let's say 4,000. You decided to add 4,000. Then after that, the bank decided that they will remain giving you what? 3%. Then after that, in 6 years, you decided, no, you are taking it higher. You decided to add 10K, 10,000. When you invested 10,000, the bank now decided, no, this person, because he's investing too much now, let's give him extra. They give you 11% interest. They added 11%. Then after that, in 9 years, you decided you want to withdraw your money. Withdraw, or it can be even monthly, it does not matter. It depends on the question. I'm using as is annually. Annually means yearly or 1. So you withdraw your money. How much are you going to withdraw? That's a question that you are going to be asked. Remember, the only thing that you must remember, as I've discussed with you, this 1,000 is going to be inside here until you withdraw, the day you withdraw on the 9. And then even this 4,000 will be here inside your investment, which means it's going to be an interest rate. And then here also 10,000 is going to be there until you withdraw on the 9. So if I have to calculate how much am I going to have based on my timeline, which means the money that I will have is an accumulative amount, which I'm going to withdraw, then I have 1,000 in brackets 1 plus the interest rate, which I was given here, it was 3. Let's assume it's compounded annually. So compounded annually means like it's just yearly. You divide by, it's just 1. So it's going to be 0,03 to the power. This 1,000 here, remember, it was here until there. But the interest rate is started changing on the 6. So which means we're going to say to the power 6. Then you add plus the problem part before I add. Remember, from 0 until 6, it was only 0,3. Then the interest rate, it changed from what? From 3% to 11% when it becomes 6 years. From 6 to 9, the difference is what? Is 3 years. Then which means we're going to say brackets 1 plus what? Plus 0,11 because it changes to 11%. 0,11 to the power. The difference from 9 to 6 is 3. to the power 3. So we have calculated how much this 1,000 from day 1 until 9 and until 9 years, how much did it accumulate, the interest rate of that 1,000. Then you add plus, you go to 4,000. Your 4,000 was there in the account starting from 3 until what? Starting from 3 until 9. But from 3 to 6, it was earning only what? It was earning 3%, which is going to be 1 plus 0.03 to the power 3. Because of what? 3 minus 3 is 3 to the power 3. Then after that, it was also there, this 4,000 for 3 years, from 6 up to 9 is 3 years. Then we 1 plus what? Plus 0.11, because the change is changing the interest rate. Then plus again, you added what? 10,000. You write your 10,000. This is how you do it. If you don't do it this way, then you have to guess. And then this 1,000 started from 6 until 9, then you withdraw. So it's going to be 1 plus what? Just 0.11 to the power 3. Then you use your calculator, then you're going to get an answer for this question. So this is how you do a timeline question. So in your timeline question, sometimes you might find they are using that you were supposed to pay based on the payment, like maybe if it's a loan, you were supposed to pay, then you fail to pay. It depends on the what. Remember, when you are taught something, we will teach you the strategy on how to answer something, but the question might come in a different way, but you use the same weapons that we gave you, that you learned. So the weapons that you learned, you use them. So you might also be given a timeline. It's about maybe this timeline you made a loan. In your loan, you agreed that you're going to start paying. Maybe let's assume I'm gonna start here. This is like maybe number 1. You made a loan here. This is our initial. I'm gonna just write 0. You made a loan of 10K, 10,000. Then you decided that you are going to make payments starting from the next month. Next month, you don't make payment. Second month, you don't make payments. You don't make payments. You don't make payments. You don't make payments. Then after that, they start calling you that you are not paying us. When are you going to pay us? Or we'll take you to burial. Then you decide, okay, because they called me now, you want to start paying. You see, that amount, the time you were not paying there, up to there, that interest it was accumulating the interest. So which means if you lended in the bank or wherever you lended that money, you are going to pay those interest there. Then when you start paying, this 10,000 is still gonna give you what? It's still gonna accumulating the interest for them. So that's what it means. So which means when you calculate, you might be calculations based, you're gonna calculate how much like you were supposed to pay like that, the same way I showed you in this one. Until then, when you decide to pay, you start paying like that. It does not matter. It is the one way. So that's how it works when it comes to timeline. So we discussed about the timeline. We're gonna go to future values. So when we talk about future values is when we're speaking about annuities. Future value is when we are talking about annuities. Annuities, we talk about there is a regular payment. So you saw that the timeline is when by I also do it myself. I have my own saving account. I have my investment account that I registered my own investment account. In my investment account, I can decide that, hey, I want to put 100 Rand today. When I wake up the following week, I decided that I'm adding 1,000. Tomorrow I feel like, hey, I've made a lot of money now. Let me add 200, you see. So that's how I save my money in my investment. So, but you will see that this amount that I saved, they are not the same. That's why there was something called a timeline. So, but if I can be as specific, I never done that, what I'm going to be teaching you now. I never save in a one, like if I say I'm saving 1,000 every month, I'm saving, I never done that. So, but there are people who save exactly the same amount every month. So that's when we come for what future values, which is called annuities. Annuities, you are going to work with a F, we call it FV. So FV, I gave you the formula of FV is X, whereby this value of X is going to be 1 plus R to the power N minus N is, or we can use T as number of years to the power T minus 1 over I over R. Over R. So this is the this is the formula for future value. So this X there, it means regular amount. The regular amount is whereby if you said you were investing, every time you were investing, or it can be monthly, or it can be yearly, or it can be half yearly, or quarterly, or semi-yearly, it does not matter. If you are investing 1,000 every month, 100 Rand every month, you're gonna put 100 Rand every month, 100 Rand, it's gonna be the same. It's like, it does not change, it does not go up, it's just 100 Rand until maybe you go and withdraw it. Then that's when you use the future value, if it's the same amount. So the rest is the same. So the future value, they will tell you that there was a regular payment of 6,000. There was a regular payment. There was a regular payment of maybe 700. It depends. When you see the word regular, remember the first thing that you must check in the question is that question based on the investment, is the interest. Am I going to gain the interest, or I'm not going to gain the interest? If you are going to gain the interest, is the future value. But if you are not going to gain the interest and you are paying something, it means that is a loan. And when it means that is a loan, we are going to use a present value. Present value is based on loans. And the present value equation is P equals to what? Equals to X, whereby you're going to be still making a regular payment. But the boring part is that when you make a loan, or when you make a credit, you don't enjoy the interest. So the regular payment is going to be 1 X in brackets 1 in brackets 1 plus R to the power, this is the formula, to the power negative N, close brackets, over what? Over R. So this is the formula you use to calculate for a loan. So if you hear that, the question will say you were paying an installment of 1,000 every month. How much, what will it be? Or how much will you pay? How much, like maybe they can ask you how much is the present value or the money that you lended. So you must remember that you have to use what? You have to use this formula for the present value. So they will ask you, they will try by all means to be tricky. But as long as you understand that when you're working with what loans, remember this is the formula. This is R there. I see that it's very small. Let me just write it properly. That's R there. So remember to use this formula. These formulas, they are there in your study guide. They might not be written. This one, it might not be written in the way that I've written it. It might be written different, but it's the same. When you simplify it, you will get here. It's the same. Even if you test them, you will see that the formula that I gave you and the one from your study guide, they are the same. They will give you the same results. It's just that this one is a simplified one. We already simplified it. Any question?
No.
All right. So now the question can ask you, for example, when you might ask, okay, I understand all these formulas, I understand what you said. The question can tell you that you invested an amount of 1,000 and the bank, you invested an amount of 1,000. Some questions when you are reading, remember, they need you to use your brains. In school, you are there to use your brains. So if you don't want to use your brains, you can either quit, don't do it, don't go to school. So here in this question, they will tell you that you invested 1,000. In 1,000 Rand, the bank decided to give you 10% interest rate. But when you get your money was more with what? With 2% interest. 2% more. So which means instead of you, maybe if you are, I'm just giving you an example, instead of you, when you get 1,000, you were supposed to get 1,500 as an accumulative amount. But you find that now you only also have 1,000 what? 1,508. 80%, 1,508. You see, so which means it means that there is a 2% more in that interest. So what they ask you, maybe they ask you, it was 2%, then they ask you, calculate the what? Calculate the accumulative amount. This one I was just showing you what will happen. Calculate the accumulative amount. So you must remember that, okay, if the bank is going to give me 10%, and then also that they found that there was extra 2% more of my accumulative amount, it means that you have to combine this interest rate, both of them. You must combine them. Then instead of using 10% to calculate, you must use what? 12% to calculate what? How much are you going to have? Maybe after 4 years, or after 1 year, or 6 months. That's how it means. Those questions, I've seen them. Sometimes the other one which come in your assignments was like an extra. If you remember about the question that I'm talking about, it says you gain an extra 2%. You saw that question. So those kind of questions, they want you to just add those interest. Then after that, you work it out. So the other way, remember, they are testing you to see you qualify to do a degree. If you don't qualify, that's the reason part they are going to make it hard. That's why it's going to be a little bit harder. But if you qualify to do a degree, you're going to get your distinction. You are going to be asked, there is Bongani here. Bongani, and there is Peter. This is just an example. Bongani and Peter, they both have 3,000. They are going to invest. Also, Peter have 3,000. So Bongani decided to invest in a simple interest. And then simple SI, let me just write SI, simple interest. And then Bongani, Peter decided to invest in compound. It was in compound interest. The simple interest, they say, is 28%. And then this side here is, they say, 0.3 or 3%. Let's say not 0.3%. Then the question will ask you, who will have a higher, who will have more money after 3 years? The only thing that you need to do in this question, you just need to first calculate using the simple interest. You find the accumulative amount for Bongani. Then you go to calculate the compound interest for Peter. Then after that, when you are done, you compare the amount that you get. Then you decide. It's either Peter or Bongani. That's how simple it is. And then secondly, the other thing that you must remember, I forgot, it was in terms of compound interest. In compound interest, you are going to be asked, normally they like it, to ask you to calculate the number of years. You are given A equals to P, the way I've written it before, 1 plus R to the power T. You are going to ask to calculate T. They know that when you calculate T, I have shown you this, you are going to use a logarithm. So when we calculate P, the P, if I'm not using values, don't get confused when we're just using these letters there of the formula. So you are going to say you have 1 plus R to the power T equal to what? We divide by P is going to be equals to A over P. Then after that, when you have this, you can see that to get our T here, the only way, this is the formula that I'm telling you how you do it. You say log those values. You can first get those values, or even if you are using a Casio, you're just gonna say log A over B over P. You divide by log. You divide by log of what? 1 plus R. Then the answer that you get there is the number of years. So they normally love to ask this question because they know you guys, you are going to forget that you use log. When you come then and like you can substitute, you can see that you need P. Then wow, somebody write is 3 years. I guess. And then normally they make sure that if it's 2, they will say 2.1. Or they know that it's going to be 2.1 or 2.8, like that. Or it can be 10. Yes, 10.5 when you use the logarithm. So that's how you must also remember this. So if you guys don't have any question, then I'm gonna check the timetable. I think I'm going to the videos. I was very busy today. The video they are there. I'm recording, so I'm gonna put them in my YouTube tomorrow. Then you're gonna be able to see them tomorrow. And then secondly, I will check the timetable and confirm about the next class, so that we're going to start with the questions. Doing the questions. So anyone have a question? I'm going to stop this video. Anyone have a question?